Borough have never walked alone. Middlesbrough Football Club and its army of loyal supporters have been marching on together for well over a century. Ayresome Park, home for most of that time, has echoed to the changing fortunes of this great club. There have been bad times and there have been glorious times. Times when the finest football in the land was played here. Times when the name of Borough stood for all that's best in the greatest game on earth. And there was a time just 5 short years ago when those glory days seemed consigned to the history books forever. Relegation to the 3rd Division was bad. What followed was worse.
Some news just in. Middlesbrough Football Club, one of the oldest clubs in the Football League, has been officially wound up today. It was revealed in court this week the club owed the Inland Revenue almost £115,000 in tax arrears. In the light of Middlesbrough's mounting debt and failure to meet the financial demands set, the judge issued a winding-up order and has officially called in the receiver. Total debts at the club are estimated at almost £2 million. Manager Bruce Rioch and 29 other non-playing staff are to be sacked and the gates of Ayresome Park padlocked.
In the club's 115-year history, it was the darkest hour. But the storm was to blow over. That darkest hour was simply the prelude to the dawning of a bright new era for Middlesbrough Football Club. Backed by Colin Henderson with the new board of directors, Borough staged a miraculous recovery. Initially working without pay, manager Bruce Rioch and his men, sacked by the official receiver, were fired again, but this time by a fierce pride. In successive seasons, Borough stormed from Division 3 to Division 1 and then slipped back to the 2nd. Colin Todd had a spell in the managerial hot seat, but now the boss is Lenny Lawrence. A shrewd and seasoned campaigner, he's backed by right-hand man John Pickering and a squad of committed and talented players.
To and fro, yeah. One touch, yeah, one touch, yeah. In and out, in and out, in and out, and go back at you, in and out, go back at you, yeah. In between the gates, yeah. Touch it, guys.
Bernie Slaven, leading goalscorer for the last 5 seasons. John Hendry, signed from Leeds United for £500,000 in July 1990. A winger with pace and panache. Paul Wilkinson, signed at the start of the season from Watford. And Stuart Ripley, Borough's homegrown gem. The boss's job is to blend these individuals into a unified force.
First thing to do is to get your team right. It's no good having a squad of 17 or 18 or 19 or 20 players and not knowing what your best team is. The first thing you do is get a team, which I did. Then you worry about a squad. Now, we ran it down deliberately in the summer because a lot of players wanted to leave Middlesbrough, and I think that if players have declared an interest in leaving, then sooner or later they've got to be shifted for dressing room harmony and spirit. We did that. We got our team. Unfortunately, the injury to Willie Faulkner and the suspension and injury to Stuart Ripley and John Hendry left us short of numbers and short of creative ability, which is why we've stuttered a little bit in the month of October.
One thing that doesn't change with the times at Ayresome Park is the devotion of the fans. They're as loyal a set of supporters as there is in the sport. Fair weather fans can be fickle, but Borough supporters can hardly be accused of that. Through the highs and lows of the 80s, they've proved their worth time and time again. As much as anything else, it's that deep-rooted Teesside loyalty that generates the will to win in the players.
been to games where I've seen one team more or less collapse in the last 10 or 15 minutes. I mean, no disrespect to Port Vale, who are a good side, they collapsed at Leicester. It looked like a goalless draw or a 1-0 after 70 minutes, and they lost 4-0. Now, they didn't collapse against us, and they didn't collapse against Liverpool, because players will go to a top-of-the-league team or a first-division team, and they will respond. That is the nature of the professional animal, if you like. They will respond, and they will say, right, these are supposed to be the best. I'm going to make sure that I pit myself against these, and I'm going to do the best. And that's why you get so many tight games and so many difficult games for us at home.
For the boss on the touchline, even a packed stadium can be a lonely place. Whilst his players battle, he's plotting, planning for the future, and his vision of that is clear.
Say, getting to the Premier Division is like getting the key to Aladdin's cave. Make no mistake about that. You know, there's going to be TV things, and there's going to be lots of commercial spin-offs, obviously better attendances, you know, and you know, there's going to be very few games where the opposition don't bring a significant amount of fans, 2,000, 3,000, 4,000. We're going to have to rethink about rehousing them as well. It's no good putting, you know, 4,000 Manchester United fans in there now. But you know, that's all very nice, and that's the target at the end of the rainbow. But we're not there yet, you know. And if we start believing we're there before we get there, we won't get there. What you've got to do is you need a good start, and you need a good finish in a promotion campaign. Those are the key things. And then you've got to sustain it for as long as you can. That's what I said at the start. Now, people have made us favourites now. That's fine. As long as we keep playing and doing what we can do, we've got a decent chance. If we stop doing what we can do, what we're doing, then we could fall by the wayside.
If these fans have a say in the future of the club, and of course they do, well, even the headiest heights hold no fears for them. Many of them were here, on the same spot, on the same terrace, when the man on the touchline was Big Jack Charlton. Like him, they were weaned on intoxicating football at the highest level.
Turned inside, what a good run, a chance here for Armstrong! Yes! 1-0 to Middlesbrough! In quickly, and he loses it to Saunders, the short pass that's anchored to Murdoch, and the long one that he hopes will get Mills away. And Beale goes in, and Mills is there! Well, that was a mistake by Tottenham. Not a bad cross. Oh, and the chance is there, and Hickton has taken it! Fine ball. Chip it, and he scored it! What a beautiful goal! Back in the corner. Oh, what a save! Yes, it's there now! Stuart Bell, Freeman on the header. Stuart Bell the finish. Foggan and Smith there. Foggan, Smith. Good shot! A goal! Middlesbrough are back in business. Good quick throw in. Mills. Badram! Saunders. Hickton. It's there! Souness. Riding trains tackle. That's for Boyesma. Bill Boyesma round the back. Yes, it's there! Drags. And spins the shot. Willie! A goal! 2-1! Willie, second goal! A little bit of trouble. Mills taking it off him now. Great chance. Now for Spurs. Still Terry Cooper. Push out, a hat-trick for Mills, surely! What a finish! Delight! Jack Charlton on his feet.
The lights may have dimmed, albeit temporarily, on those halcyon days of the mid-70s, but the feeling that they're about to return, burning even brighter, is not just wishful thinking. The back-to-back streets and closely knit communities around Ayresome Park have always produced players of exceptional ability. Wilf Mannion, probably Boro's greatest, illuminated the post-war years. George Hardwick, the club's finest defender, captain of Middlesbrough, England and Great Britain. His grandfather played for Boro in the 1890s. George Campsell scored 345 goals in 453 games. 59 of his league goals came in one season. And then there was Brian Clough, another prolific centre-forward. 204 goals from 222 games. Behind him, goalkeeper Peter Taylor, obviously the start of their remarkable association. One man who remembers all the post-war players at their peak is still playing an important role in today's setup. Kitman Joe Hunt.
Well, I first started in the club somewhere in about 1949, when a person that was an insurance man, was also a person that looked after the gatemen and the people at the Middlesbrough Football Club. And he said, well, you've been going to Middlesbrough Football Club from when you were a schoolboy, haven't you? I said, yes. He said, well, how would you like to come and work? I said, I will come. I said, oh, I don't want paying for it. Oh, I said, no. He said, we're paying. I think we got 2 and 6 of the old money in them days, and I've been with the club ever since. On match days, I come in the morning, I lay all my kit out, I look and say to the referees and see that the place is all right. I put the soap out, toilet paper out, you name it, I do it on the day of the match. After that, I just stand by and whatever's asked to shout, I do it. It's as simple as that. And what I would like to say really is, regarding managers and the people like that, I think that a manager has got a hard job, because he comes and he tells his players what he has to do, what he expects of them, and he trains them a whole week for that. And once they leave here at 3 o'clock, his hands is tired, he's got to wait and just sit there and hopes that they will do what he tells them. That's my honest opinion of football.
One man who'd heartily agree with that opinion, Lenny Lawrence. What do you do when you're playing at home and your team go a goal down? What can you do when the opponents, Derby County, make it 2-0 before half-time? It is down to the players themselves, so where do they look to for inspiration?
I think that's when you need the fans most. When we're winning, the fans are great, they get behind you, but sometimes when you're getting beat, we need them even more to get a win for them, for ourselves.
I get a great buzz scoring anyway, but obviously to score at home in front of the home fans is always a bit special, and obviously to score in front of that end is great, because that's where the home fans tend to be most of them.
It's up to us to spark off the fans by starting well, and then the fans here really do get behind us. But obviously, if the fans, get behind us, it can only spur us on.
It's a great time to get promoted. It's going to be hard though. I think it's going to go right down to the wire. There's going to be 4 or 5 teams in there. Hopefully we'll be one of them right till the end of the season. you know, it's all much of a muchness this year in the second division, and I think we're in there with a good shout.
Cheer about for a change. Our home record the last couple of seasons has been abysmal, to be honest. But we're unbeaten at home this season. We've only conceded 1 or 2 goals, and I think we're paying them for coming in the numbers, and we're both having a good time, you know.
Get behind us when things are getting a bit rough on the pitch. We need them as much as anybody else, you know, and they can be as much a part of the club as the players.
The support has been very good, and away from home they're very vociferous, and it's great having the fans behind you. It does make a difference, and I think opposing teams notice the atmosphere when they come here and perhaps raise the game to that atmosphere.
Two-0 down at half-time. Final score, Middlesbrough 4, Derby County 2.
The plan is obviously to try and sustain a concerted promotion campaign through this year. We've been able to do that so far. There's a long way to go, but we're in a decent position. Long term, the plan would be to get in the Premier League and stay there. Now you need, as well as a team, you need the backup of a properly organised club to keep you in the first division of Premier League, whatever you'd like to call it. We have the administrative, the commercial and the financial backup to sustain a position if the team's good enough. And most important of all, we have the support in terms of passion, intensity, and most important of all, in terms of numbers. I'm sure we could average 20,000 plus if we gained a place in the Premier League. So that's the short and long term, but in the short term is to get through the next round of the cup competitions and to make sure we stay at the top of the league for as long as we can.
The level of support that brings a team back from the brink of defeat has swung many a match at Ayresome Park. Match days here on Teesside are a way of life, ingrained into the heart of the community. You could almost set your clock to the traditional activities. The street sellers setting up stalls. The arrival on match day duty of the boys in blue. And always there's the sizzling of the sausages for hot dogs.
If any model agencies want us, tell them that we're free.
We will be, so we can get the stack of this.
Today's visitors are Port Vale, and like all opponents, they'll be aware of the history and tradition of the place. Their senior players will remember this ground played host to the North East Group in the 1966 World Cup finals. It's improved since then, and there's a pride for all to see. Beneath the stands, the strip hangs ready. Hopefully, this is last week's. Scrubbed and polished by the next generation of first-teamers, the boots will soon need doing again. And as always, Joe Hunt is there to add the finishing touches. Out on the park, senior groundsman David Rigg is putting his final touches into place.
When it rains heavy, obviously, you know, they're going to mess the pitch up a lot more, and it is extremely hard to make it flat again. For instance, this weekend we've got a match on for today. We've got a match Tuesday night, a match Wednesday night, a match next weekend. You know, that takes hours to repair the pitch. It's hard work.
So when the players finish and you go home, and the fans go home, right, that's when your hard work starts?
That's right. You know, I'm often here extra hours on an evening. I'll be here, for instance, all over this weekend because we've got the matches next week. It is hard, the work at times, especially in the winter time, if it's freezing cold or if it's snowing, raining, windy or whatever. And you're out there and you're going over every inch of the ground trying to make it flat again. And, you know, there are often I'm out there and I actually think, what a waste of time this is, because, you know, they're just going out again and they're going to actually hack it all up again the next match. But, you know, it doesn't happen very often. You know, it is nice to work here. I like being out in the fresh air and it's good.
Heading the backroom staff, Club Secretary Keith Lamb and Marketing Manager Mitch Hatfield.
My official day, as it were, well, I guess it starts at 9 o'clock, but I probably get into top gear from about sort of 11:30 onwards, and it might often be 7:30, 8 o'clock before there's time to sit down and enjoy a relaxing pint at the end of the day. And I'm like the rest of the fans, you know, really. I mean, I'm supposed to be dispassionate and stay and be a gentleman, etc. But I get really disappointed too if we lose a game, or you know, I get really happy when we win a game. My mood might, you know, to a degree tend to reflect the result at the end of the afternoon. But overall, it's a tightly managed operation. My colleagues run a very well managed organisation here during match days. Everything's got to be done to a fairly strict timetable. The police, of course, are very thoroughly involved here, as rightly they should be, to maintain proper order and safety. Everything's got to knit together, and you know, hopefully I play a good part in that.
So what's the significance of the Holgate End for Middlesbrough Football Club?
Well, it would be hard to underestimate its significance, really. The Holgate End is the heart of Ayresome Park. There's accommodation in this area at the moment for around about 10,000 people, so it accounts for, you know, getting on for a third of our total capacity. And this is where the real fan often starts his sort of career of following Middlesbrough. It's the source of most of the noise. It's the source of most of the passion. It's not to take anything away from the other supporters, but the Holgate End, in many senses, it's Ayresome Park.
What sort of buzz does it generate for the players, do you think, before a game?
I've talked to lots of players about what sort of a lift they get from the crowd, and the best way to answer that question is when you see a game here and you see what the players do when they first come out onto the pitch. The immediate response is from the Holgate End. The immediate response from them is to wave to the Holgate End. I think it can lift a man. I think it can give a man extra pace and extra power during the game. And the players, they want to succeed. You know, they want to give the fans what the fans want. And what the fans want, of course, is to see Middlesbrough where we belong in the top league, the Super League, hopefully next year.
If it's tough at the top, it's equally hard on the limbs getting there. The demand for a first-rate physio armed with state-of-the-art equipment has never been greater. Mark Nile is the club's chartered physiotherapist.
Stuart's come in today for treatment just before the game. He wants to get back as quick as he can. The hamstring injury was 2 weeks ago, today, against Wolves. It's responding very well to treatment at the moment, so we're hopeful in the next week or so certainly he should be back in training. So we're just carrying on. What I do now is some laser treatment that we've had some good success with the last couple of weeks, so we're going to carry on with that and then take it from there. So is he feeling better this morning?
Yeah, it feels a lot better actually. Yeah. It's not as bad as I've had before, so hopefully like you say, I'll be back within a week.
Right, so if you just want to roll over then and sort the back of your leg and then we'll get cracking. Any pain there?
No.
I can play today. I was just sensing out about there. Okay. Off we go then. It has a photochemical effect, which in any injury, what you get is a breakdown of at cell level and repair. Now, the laser stimulates the cells and increases the healing time, basically. It's probably, this is like the vogue treatment in sports injuries at the moment, laser treatment. So we've just got this piece of equipment, which is portable as well, so we can take it away with us, you know. We get an injury after a game.
How would a player 10, 20 years ago been treated for this particular injury?
He'd probably been told to rest for about 2 months and then come back. I think 20 years ago, you got to remember that the way the game was played was probably, in all fairness, maybe more skillful, a lot slower, with less emphasis on fitness. So if I'd told him to rest for a month and he'd come back, he probably wouldn't be able to play at that level 20 years ago. The thing today is the game is all about pace as much as it is about skill. So obviously we need to be more positive in our rehabilitation. And, you know, because we're going back to a much higher level of demand from the sportsmen than I think there was 20 years ago. That's the basic difference today. I'm quite impressed with this machine, but at the end of the day, I think it's all about rehabilitation in terms of exercise, knowing how far to push a player and knowing how far not to take him. It's a fine line between keeping him on the edge and not taking him over. These machines help and are vital in the early stages of treatment, but I think the most important thing is you've got to know your sportsmen and what they're going back to, what the game involves from them. Maybe if you're fighting relegation or you're pushing for promotion, there may be a little bit of pressure, but even at the end of the day, you've got to, I think a good manager is realistic about what time a player can come back in. Obviously, we want him out of here as quick as we can, but having said that, I'll not let him go until I think the time is absolutely right.
Borough are justifiably proud of their homegrown talents, young men making their mark on the game like midfielder Jamie Pollock. Youth development manager is Ron Bone.
Middlesbrough as a club, all right over the years, have had a reputation for producing their own youngsters, and the board are absolutely paranoid about it, really, and they'd give me an awful lot of help towards developing youngsters.
Men like defender Curtis Fleming, another being tipped for the highest honours.
One thing about Middlesbrough is they will support youngsters coming into the side. I know a lot of clubs, young kids get a lot of stick from fans. Middlesbrough, the fans are absolutely brilliant in attitude towards the youngsters.
Well, that's because Middlesbrough is very much a family-orientated club. Its youth policy doesn't just encompass potential players. Its young supporters are held in high esteem. After all, give me the boy, and you've got a Middlesbrough fan for life.
There you go.
Perhaps the club shop manager knows that better than anybody.
And the fans in general, how important are they, do you think, to the success of the club and the success of the team?
Totally important. The fans are the people who come through the door, obviously, are the ones who make sure that we're keeping our jobs. And we keep them happy, or at least we like to try to think we keep them happy. They are totally important. It's like any customer. The customer is the most important person.
Is that the one you want, Nick? Yeah.
Another satisfied customer, and now he's ready to play his part in the big match build-up. The sights, sounds and smells are friendly and familiar. Matchday programmes. And those hot dog sausages. The pilgrimage to Ayresome Park is not restricted to just the locals. Those wearing the red and white favours travel from all over England. And there's an impressive Scandinavian contingent who regularly invade these shores. All of them marching on together. Still they come, and not just the fans. The players appreciate there's an important role for them off the pitch as well as on. Not for the Middlesbrough lads, the prima donna posturing all too familiar at other clubs.
Afternoon, John.
Yeah.
Enjoy your boat, Ken? Have a good day.
Huh?
Have a good day on your boat, Ken?
That was excellent. 21.
Same here.
They know the supporters pay their wages, and if a fan wants an autograph, it's a small price to pay for the volume of support that comes back from the terraces. There's a mutual respect, and it shows.
Go behind the barriers.
Thanks. How you doing, Chunk? All right,
Stand
pal?
up for us, young, please.
Right, mate.
Chunky, please, John.
The Chunky?
Chunky. Call you Paul, or don't call you Chunky.
They call him Chunky because they're little chunky. So, there you go, pal.
I'll give you that for
All
your
right.
birthday, John.
Thanks a lot. See you later.
A lady hasn't forgotten that it's Chunky Hendry's birthday. As for Port Vale's arrival at the ground, they were greeted with a dismissive look that seems to say, "You've no chance." Perhaps she's heard that Dean Glover, ex-Borough boy, was out injured and wouldn't be lining up against his old teammates. The turnstiles are clicking, but not very frequently. Ayresome Park has a reputation for filling up in a way all of its own. A few fans take their places in the stands and on the terraces early, but the operative word is few. The North East does, after all, offer real alternatives in pre-match attractions and meeting places.
Can I swear like? No. Brilliant. Just go all over the country on the beer and having a good laugh. That's what it is.
Marvellous. Marvellous. Spend your gyro on a Saturday, enjoy it. Few pints. That's what the North East's all about, isn't it? Spend your gyro, support the borough. I suppose even the Newcastle fans have got the same feelings as us. We're all foolish, aren't we? We're the numdy-plums of the country.
It's an addiction. What it is, you're born in the borough, you're proud to be from borough, so you go and watch them, that's what it is. That's all there is. Enjoy yourself.
Oh, marvellous. I've followed the borough all my life, since a 13, 12, 13-year-old. Love it. Got all the matches. I used to travel away, I don't now. Not so much anyway, only important games, but I love it. I love them. Season ticket holder. There he is. Buy it. £230 cost me. Love it, every minute of it. Marvellous.
The Geordies always want the board out, don't they? The Geordies always want the board out. We always say, give us a fair deal and we'll support them ever more. Right? It's as simple as that. There's a lot of lads there. I'm an original Ayresome Angel, by the way, along with my mate Chalky. We are the Ayresome Angels. I do not miss a match. We are the Ayresome Angels, and I most certainly do not miss a match. Oh, yeah. We are the Ayresome Angels, and we never miss a match. We will follow the border. Hello, hello, we are the border boys. Hello, hello, we are the border boys. We are the Ayresome Angels, and we never miss a match. We will follow the border. Hello, hello. Anyway, have a good day.
For one very special supporter and his pal, today's match is one he'll never forget, irrespective of the result. Kevin Nicholas is fan of the day, VIP treatment and more.
To the director's guest now. If you'd like to go straight up.
For everybody else in the stadium, more traditional entertainment, like studying the official Matchday magazine. Programme editor is Clive Armitage, and deadlines are tight.
Pretty difficult, especially when you've got, as we have at this moment, something like 4 matches in the space of 2 weeks. You really are pushing it to get the stuff out. Fortunately, I've got some very good contributors and a very good photographer who provide me with the sort of stuff that I'm looking for, and hopefully ours is one of the best programmes in the league.
What sort of feedback do you get from the fans about the programme content?
Pretty good by and large, but they're always there with ideas, and a lot of the ideas I've taken on board for this season. They've got some good ideas too, the fans.
How important are the supporters in the success of Middlesbrough Football Club?
They are obviously very important, but we believe that we have a special brand of support up here in the North East, particularly at Middlesbrough. Even when the side's doing badly, we still get very good support, and we're very grateful for that.
You have to turn up, don't you? I haven't missed a game for 4 years, so enjoy it.
Oh, just excitement, and the atmosphere. It's really good.
We are truly the best Borough fans in the world, you know what I mean? We are the greatest, really.
You know,
That's it, isn't it? What would you say the essential ingredient is being a Borough fan?
Slightly crazy,
Yeah.
slightly mad, yeah.
Living in this area, I think you've got to be, with the support.
Superb. Apart from when you go to away matches and then they let you down, and we're sick as. But apart from that, it's spot on. Prince William supports him, doesn't he? So you've got to be all right, haven't you? This man can speak now.
No comment.
Many
No,
words.
can't speak now.
He's had a drink, so he's a bit under the influence. But
Had a
same
drink.
views
They'll
as
say
me.
they won't let me in a match, will they?
Oh, it's exciting. We know we're going to win, though. Most weeks.
Meanwhile, for the fan of the day, a rundown of the pleasures in store from Ken Spearan, Business Development Manager. As winner of the competition run by the club's sponsor, the Middlesbrough Evening Gazette, it'll be King Kevin for the next few hours.
From him to you of a goblet. We'll then come back here afterwards, and we've got seats in the director's box today, which is something quite special. And then back in here afterwards for a drink, collect all the other scores, etc. And then we'll be off about 5:30. So, have you had a look at all the silverware?
Yes, very nice. It's very impressive. I didn't realise we'd won so much. Or is it all on loan?
What they're shouting for is new silverware for that trophy cabinet. For the moment, though, they've got all they want, a clear view of the match. Down in the dugout, the boss, Lenny Lawrence, would be happy to swap places.
The fans can see your emotions. It doesn't mean to say you're not feeling any when you're sitting up there, but I mean, yeah, but believe me, that it's difficult, especially with crowds the size you get at Middlesbrough, it's difficult to get instructions across, and often you're just taking out your own frustrations. Now, I'd like nothing more than to sit in the stand from the first minute to the 90th minute. But lately we've had so many substitutions required for injuries and what have you that I've had to go down there. Sometimes I feel the need to sit down there, but John Pickering, my assistant, does a great job on the line, so I would prefer to sit up the top from the first minute to the last.
What about assistant manager John Pickering?
You're all right there, Kearney. You're all right, Kearney.
What are his thoughts about being so close to the action and the pressure?
I love it. I love it, to be honest. I think pressure is when you're down. It's the same as when you're down and out and you've got no brass. You know, I think pressure's on you there. If you're successful and in any walk of life, I think it's great because that's where you want to be.
Now involved in the action, the fan of the week. Public recognition for his loyalty. But how would Lenny Lawrence like to reward the rest of the supporters for their dedication?
By getting into the First Division, that's the thing that matters. And maybe, if it's possible, to give them a cup run. I mean, the people of Middlesbrough, I mean, they gave magnificent support to the Zenith or the Simod Cup final, whatever it was then when they got there. I mean, I think the club made a lot of money out of it, and I think they took about 30 or 40,000 people. That's phenomenal. So that would be a great thing if you could reward them with a semi-final or something like that, or a final in a major cup competition. But that's second. The important thing is to bring First Division football to Teesside. That is the be-all and the end-all.
They would all agree with that. And so would they. And that's exactly what they're battling for week in, week out. Against Port Vale, a familiar pattern. Almost incessant home team pressure against opponents raising their game and riding their good fortune. As every player and every fan knows, near misses don't win matches. You don't get points for coming close, and you need plenty of points for promotion. The pressure is starting to show, even in the man who says he loves it.
Tony Mowbray. Nobody going for it. It's cut out by Glover. Jeffers. Parkins. Pollock loses out to Jeffers. Marwood. Wilkinson. Cut out by Glover. Jeffers again. Robbed by Marwood. Slaven. Gets away from Glover. Sets John Hendry free. Hendry facing Beckford. Beckford makes him check back. Phillips. Kernigan. Mills coming in. Kernigan first time ball. Hendry now. Hendry cut out by Glover only as far as Pollock. Pollock takes the shots.
Whistle, Middlesbrough 1, Port Vale 0, 3 precious points. It's emotionally draining supporting this club, let alone playing for it. On the evidence of the commitment to the cause so far, what's the considered opinion of the chairman of the supporters, Colin Havison?
I think this season is going to make us. We can definitely do it. We've got the right squad there, and we've got the right manager. If players don't perform at certain matches, I know Mr. Lawrence will do his best to bring a club, bring players to the club that are credit to the supporters. And I'm sure that we'll be there or thereabouts at the end of the season. And let's face it, we've got to make it to the Premier Division because we are one of the top clubs. We are the top club in the North East. All the supporters will tell you, we are the top club. Newcastle and Sunderland might get more spectators, but we've got the depth there. We've got the strength of support. We've got the feelings that people have had. It was very sad in 1986 when the club went bust. And since then, a lot of people have grown with the football club. The bonding's got stronger and stronger. It's tremendous now with a lot of supporters.
Super League next year. Want to be in the Super League next year.
We want to go up. We want to go up every season. We've never had a boring season in the last 10 years. It's always been relegation, promotion. Whatever happens, second division next year will all be still. Third division, whatever happens. Simple as that.
No, the atmosphere is brilliant, and you just cheering the team on, and you just have to win. If they don't win, well, that's your night blown, isn't it?
That's it. Hyped up. You're ready to go. You're waiting. You're getting ready to go for it. It's just a feeling of suspense in the air, Whether as soon as they come running out, I think within the first 5 minutes of the game playing, you can tell whether it's going to be a good game, a so-so game, or a bad game. It only takes 5 to 10 minutes before you can tell from the immediate atmosphere around you whether we're going to go for it.
You've got to be a smoker and a drinker, I think, to be a Middlesbrough supporter. I mean, I packed up smoking the 7th year, and then when I started going back to match again, I'm back on about 10 or 20 a day again. That's the sort of...
Has that sort of effect on you?
Yeah.
A packed Ayrsham Park is an essential ingredient in the push for promotion. So is crowd safety. Barry Trembeth is the club's expert and administrator. What are his main concerns?
The number of away supporters and getting them into the ground quickly and ensuring that at the end of the game that they are cleared of the ground after our own supporters have left.
Do you have a fairly good idea in advance how many away fans will be coming?
Yes, we contact the away club on the morning of the game or the day before and ask them what numbers they envisage. We also liaise with the police, and from their intelligence we have a fair idea of how many fans will travel.
And what's the police opinion of this host of Ayrsham Angels?
The crowd are very well behaved. They give the club tremendous support both home and away, and they're a credit to Middlesbrough Football Club. As far as our operation goes, they appreciate that we are there to help them see the match in safety, and they appreciate all the money that's been spent on safety improvements inside the ground.
Keeping the crowd happy before the match needs a shared passion for the team and Teesside humour, providing both Mark Page.
And I've been a Borough fan since I was 4, and currently, although I'm the club announcer, I feel as though I'm a bit of a cheerleader. I like to get the fans revved up just before kick-off, and that's quite exciting. What I was doing last season, actually, I used to come on the pitch at half-time, do the lottery results, but also take the mickey out the away fans a bit. And we were playing Charlton last season, and I came on and I said to the Charlton fans there, I said, don't worry, your minibus has been ordered for 5 o'clock. Well, there was only about like 30 of them in an enclosure of 2,000. Anyway, they jeered, and I turned around and said, hey, we may be 1-0 down, but at least we got our own ground. Anyway, I thought nothing more of it, carried on, and about 3 weeks later the police came to see me, and luckily they'd seen the funny side of it, but somebody at Charlton Supporters Club hadn't, and I got a very nice letter from the Football League as well. But I'd had a few letters from Charlton fans who'd actually thought it was quite funny, so luckily I was all right there. But all in all, it's a bit of fun. I say hello to the away supporters, tell them, welcome to the home of European football, which for me it is. That's what Ayrsham Park is.
Mr. Page accepts totally that he's only the aperitif to the main course, the match. There's a crispness and intensity about training in the camp that always comes when the bookies label a team promotion favourites. Not even a rising star like Stuart Ripley can afford to relax, especially when the boss is keeping the whole squad on its toes. Big transfer market dealings suggest there's been rather more than the usual managerial soul-searching going on. It takes a brave boss to sell the skipper, even for £1 million. Tony Mowbray sold to Celtic. He's been a great club player. Genuine supporters will wish him well north of the border. But isn't young Nicky Mohan, nurtured as a youth at Charlton by the boss, perhaps the perfect replacement? Lenny Lawrence obviously has a plan in mind.
On occasions in the past here, too much money has been paid for players, not necessarily those that are here now, and secondly, players have been sold too cheaply. Now, neither is going to happen from now on in. If I can get the right player at the right price, doesn't matter if it's $1 million or 50,000, we'll do it. But we are not paying over the odds.
One thing's certain, without the £1 million sale, Berra wouldn't have been able to snap up Andy Payton, the new £750,000 signing from Hull.
First of all, I'd like to welcome Andy to Middlesbrough. I think that we've worked hard, everybody's worked hard in order to get him here. I think it'll prove to be an excellent signing, and I think it's a move in the best interests of the boy and the two clubs.
Middlesbrough paid £750,000 for me, which is, in today's terms, it's a lot of money whichever way you look at it, but in today's terms I feel that, you know, with my goal-scoring record at Hull and my age, I think it's justified, really. But I've got to come here and prove it to the fans and hopefully put that ball in the back of the net for them.
He's scored opportunist goals all over the country. Now he's got to do it here at Ayresome Park. Fortune usually favours the brave and those who get more than a little help from their friends, the fans.
Stick by us. They've had their ups and downs in recent years. We've had a good start and we've got a good set of players. Don't pick and choose your games. If you can possibly afford it, get to all the games and get behind the team from the first whistle, and hopefully everybody will get their rewards.
For Middlesbrough Football Club and its army of supporters, that reward has to be a place in the highest division. They intend to get it, marching on together.